Ziggy Stardust from the album The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And the sole remaining spider is with us, drummer Woody Woodmansey. Woody, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Johnnie. Good to be here.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good.
Now, going back to the beginning, how did you become to be a member of David's backing band?
Well, I was in a kind of a covers band, I guess it was, in a little Yorkshire town called Druffield. And I eventually migrated to Hull, the nearest city, into a band called The Rats, which was led by a guitar player called Mick Ronson. And we were doing kind of universities and all the various rock and blues clubs at that time. And then Mick left, and the drummer that I'd replaced came down to London, joined a band called Junior's Eyes. And it was when, I guess, David was trying to make the move from a folk guitarist and singer to rock and roll. So they were doing demos. And the guitarist, for some reason, was a bit too country for Bowie. And John, the drummer, John Cambridge, said, I know this guitarist in Hull called Mick Ronson. It was amazing. So Mick went down. They formed Hype, and I think probably did about 3 gigs. And then I got a call from Bowie saying, Mick says you're really good. I want you to come down and join the band. We're going to do an album. Tony Visconti is going to be producing it. So I was like, well, okay. Sounds like a good move.
So, moved up, you drove to London with your drum kit, I guess? I mean, or what did you do?
Yeah, I did have a roadie at that time. I was a lazy drummer as far as setting my own kits up, so I had my own roadie. And then Mick had an appointment with somebody in London, so I went to Haddon Hall, which is where David lived, to meet him on my own. A little nerve-wracking. I mean, all I'd seen was a flyer for an open-air concert somewhere with him with curly hair, and Space Oddity was mentioned on it. And I don't even remember really hearing Space Oddity. I think it was on the jukeboxes at the time, but it was a little bit of a culture shock because I expected this curly-haired guy to open the door to me, and he had long hair, a rainbow T-shirt on, silver belt, red corduroy trousers that were tight, and blue shoes, and he'd painted himself, I could tell, red stars on the shoes. And he had bangles on, and I was basically in ripped denims and patched denims, and it was a bit of a clash. And we just sat and talked about music, and then he pulled out a film, played me this film of him doing Mime with Lindsay Kemp, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? What has this got to do with rock and roll? And he played me some of his earlier stuff, and it was very lightweight. And then he just picked up his acoustic guitar and played a song to me that he'd written. And after that, I was like, okay, it's got it. It took me on a journey, and I went, wow, he wrote that, and he's just sat there and didn't flinch and sung it to me, so I know I can handle audiences, you know.
What song was it?
It was The Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud. I just went, wow, I love it. I ticked that box. He can write. It's like, yeah, this is a right move, you know.
Where and when did you first play drums with David Bowie in attendance? I mean, was there a kind of an audition for you?
No audition. Just, that was it. I was in.
You played on the Hunky, Dory album. What are your memories of recording that? It's a wonderful album.
Yeah, it's one of my favourites, actually. You know, the lead up to it, where everything he wrote was like, oh my God, that's great. He'd kind of clicked into this perfect writing thing. And then going into record was different to how we'd done The Man Who Sold the World. He'd probably play one to me on a Friday. I'd say, Woody, I finished one. And he'd play it, and you go, well, I like that, that's good. You get in the studio, you've got all your sounds together, you know, guitar, bass, drums, acoustic guitar. I'd go, which one are we doing, Dave? Is it that one you played on Friday? He'd go, no. Oh, good. You want to tell us tell us which one you're doing? One I just finished, you know. Okay. And he'd kind of play it, which made you a little bit edgy. What's that music bit? How does it end? How many choruses? Is there a double chorus? What's the intro? How does it start? What's the tempo? You know, we're doing this. And then he'd just say to Ken Scott, who was co-producing, is it rolling, Ken? And we went, oh my God, we're starting, you know.
He probably wanted that spontaneity.
He did. I mean, it took a little bit to realise that. never told you what to play. We want you to play together. So it was like, okay. And I'd say, oh, shall we go and have a listen? We've done one. So you'd go up to the control room and we'd listen to it. And then I'd go, shall we go do another one while it's fresh? And he'd go, no, that's it. It's like, what?
Can you pick a song, Woody, from Hunky Dory?
One I haven't heard for a long time. A song for Bob Dylan.
That's David Bowie, backed up by the Spiders from Mars, a song for Bob Dylan from the Hunky Dory album. So tell us a bit, you briefly mentioned the Haddon Hall in Kent, in Beckenham. So what was it, a huge, great place that you all lived together?
When you approached it, it was huge. It was a big kind of Georgian or Victorian, I'm not sure what period actually, but it was big. You had a concrete staircase going up to the front door, and then you opened the door and there was a massive foyer with a staircase like from Gone with the Wind in front of you went up. It was about that big, and it went two ways around a balcony. So initially I thought, wow, this is a huge place, but we only had that bit. We only had the staircase. And the rooms downstairs, we had that as well. All the rooms had been blocked off and there were flats all surrounding this house. And there was a wine cellar that we converted into a rehearsal place. So if we ever needed to throw a few ideas around, we just went down and played down there.
What was the state of the kitchen like, and who did the cooking?
Well, nobody, as far as I remember. He said, don't worry about food. But, you know, Angie wasn't the best culinary example. You know, she could burn a boiled egg. So we did a lot of toast, and actually we weren't well fed, put it like that, because there wasn't a lot of money around. I think we got £7.50, something like that. That was our wage.
So what about when, as we approach the sort of the album, the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and of Spiders from Mars, and then you've got the look and you've got makeup. Now, a Yorkshire lad does not slap on makeup. What on earth? How did you react to that?
Well, funnily enough, I've got some on now. No, I haven't, actually. We hadn't done any TV, and we got kind of the outfits made, which were a story in themselves, because we were used to, like, moccasins, jeans and T-shirts. But we'd finally got through that. What we were singing about, or what he was singing about, didn't really fit jeans and T-shirts type thing. Starman was charted, so they said, will you do Top of the Pops? So we got the outfits made, and we were kind of in the green room combing our hairs and getting ready to go on. And he pulls out this box and a bag, and all these brushes fell out with powder things, which I now know are powder puffs or whatever, and creams and makeups and whatever. And then we just kind of looked at it, and he went, you guys not wearing makeup. Like, and he got a Yorkshire response, basically. And no, he actually said to us, you haven't been in these BBC TV studios before. He said, you know, the lights are really strong and they have a tendency to pull all the features out of your face. So it'll just be like 3 eggs playing rock and roll, and but it's a shame because you've probably got a lot of friends and family watching. And the next question was, what do you do with this then, Dave? And we got into it.
A little bird told me that once the band realised that the girls kind of liked blokes in makeup, then you were really into it.
Yeah, it was different in the dressing room then. It was like, who's nicked my mascara? You had it last. I don't know, I've got my own.
David Bowie and the Spiders from Mars and Starman. So we're one day away, Woody, from the 50th anniversary of the night at Hammersmith Odeon, and tomorrow, to celebrate that fact, will be the world premiere of a brand new film of the entire gig. Have you seen the film?
I haven't. I saw a few clips a couple of months ago. not big clips. It was a little bit of, because Jeff Beck joined us for 2 songs that night. We were a big fan of Becky. That was part of our apprenticeship, an important part, particularly for Mick. When he was coming up on stage, it was a real high point for us. It was the last 2 gigs of the tour. We've been on a huge tour of America, Japan, and then a huge English tour. I think all in all, we did about 180 odd gigs. So that was just a real high point. But they chopped that out of the original film. They didn't have that in. The songs were in, but they didn't show any clips of Becky. So that's in, and some other pieces have been put back in that got edited out for, I don't know why. It should be good. I mean, we were pretty hot. It was a well-oiled machine, basically.
But, I mean, always gigs at the Hammersmith Odeon in London are special. Had you any idea what was to come during that gig at all?
No idea. Because we were already talking about a European tour. That was kind of being worked on, apparently. And then when he announced that, not only is this the last gig of the tour, but it's the last gig we'll ever do, it was like, what? What did he just say? And you have different responses. Part of me was going, well, he'd just like to create an effect sometimes, but maybe it's just a withdrawal. Or maybe he's had enough of touring. Maybe he's found he doesn't really like this. Or maybe he can't take the pressure, because there was a lot of pressure. Or maybe he wants to go off and write a musical or write just for other people. So all these things were going on in my head. I didn't know whether it's for certain, and didn't really find out until probably 3 or 4 days later. The kind of the Ziggy thing that he was killing off. At the time, you're like, what? It's peaking. It's like, we're riding the crest of a wave everywhere we go. But then you look back in retrospect and go, no, it was good. It was a good move. It would have come down, I think. It would have started to come down.
In a way, Woody, the clue was in the title, wasn't it? The rise and fall.
No, not joining the dots up that much. Should have done, but, more interested in what beat am I going to play. Yeah, it never occurred to me through that whole... It was only later on when I went, oh, well, it was called that, wasn't it? When we got the clothes together, he passed me a drawing. I think we were watching 2001 Space Odyssey, and he passed me a drawing. It was like cartoon space wrestlers. And I went, oh, yeah. And I thought it's just showing me that he can draw. And then a couple of days later, we're up in Liberties in London choosing material. And again, I didn't join the dots. I thought, oh, great, curtains for the flat, because it didn't have any. It's going to be a lot bright. And then when the material came, grab this, Woody, pass a roll down. I'm thinking, this is a bit bright, isn't it? I thought that's going to be bright for curtains. You know what I mean? You won't need to put the lights on, And then 2 days later, the designer's in measuring us up, and the material comes out, and, oh, these are for outfits. Oh, my God. Okay.
Now, there's a quote from a rock writer, Charles Shaw Murray, who said, a truly great star knows not only how to make a grand entrance, but a grand exit. Would you have called it a grand exit? It would have been grander if people had known, would it not?
Yeah, for me and some of the band, But it was a great exit. It was a great... I mean, I personally think the persona that he created was taking over. He actually became Ziggy in real life. It was quite hard to deal with, just in social situations. I think it was a matter of necessity that he had to do that. It was like sanity or whatever, He chose staying sane, obviously.
Well, Woody, it's great to talk to you, and enjoy the night tomorrow night. You're going to be a bit of a star all over again.
I will enjoy it, Johnny, I promise.
Yes. Thanks, Woody. Thank you very much.
Cheers, man.
David Bowie and Rock and Roll Suicide from the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Drummer Woody Woodmansey was my guest. The remastered version of the Ziggy Stardust concert movie will be out next month to buy. Tomorrow night's premiere takes place at the Hammersmith Odeon, and the film will also be shown in cinemas across the UK. Check out David Bowie's official website to find out if there's a cinema near you.